Welcome, everybody. My name is Maralee Burnett. I am your astrologer, back with the messages for the full moon lunar eclipse that's happening on March 3rd. And it's a jam-packed week full of big opportunities, as long as you've been showing up and doing the work. And that's what we're going to break down. So we're not going to just talk about this full moon lunar eclipse, but all of the activity and energy that is surrounding it this entire week. Here on the West Coast, we will be able to see this in totality. You just are going to have to get up a little early in the morning to be able to see it, because that full moon is at 4:30 a.m. here in Arizona anyway. But like I mentioned, it will be full. It will be a blood orange or red moon. And as it sits low in the horizon, it's going to look magnificent. So if you have the opportunity, you're going to see more of it from the West Coast, and then it will lessen the farther away we are from the West Coast, but you still will have an opportunity to at least see some of this eclipse event. Now, this is a south node eclipse, so this is about letting things go, release and closure. So those are really good things to set intentions on. Now, if this all sounds new to you, it means you are not a member of my channel and you may not have been subscribing yet. So make sure you click on that subscribe button for me now. And even more importantly, go out to my website, maraleeburnett.com, become a member there. And then that way you have access to all the written content that I put out early to help you navigate the energy that is showing up, because it's not that this event only happens on the 3rd of March. This is eclipse season. This is energy that's really been heightened over the last 6 weeks, and it will continue the 2 weeks following this full moon to the new moon in Pisces in March, with that spring equinox energy. And that is the point where we're really going to feel like things are shifting and starting to move forward. So you're going to want to make sure you're here to watch all of that as it unfolds, and go out to my website now and take a look at the article that has been already created for you for the entire month of March. And April's almost done, a few more tweaks, but also full moons and new moon articles for March and April are already both out there for you as well. And what you want to be looking at when you look at those articles is, what is the degree of the event? This was a 12-degree event. And then you want to look at your natal chart, and do you happen to have planets near 12 degrees in your chart? In, of course, the sign of Virgo, in opposition from the sign of Pisces, anywhere else in the chart, that planet and the house that it sits in has some impact from this lunar eclipse. So let's spend a little time talking about the energy surrounding the lunar eclipse and the events following this lunar eclipse. And then we'll do a full breakdown by sign with a little added flavor from Jupiter. This is a pretty blessed eclipse. And of course, we know eclipses are fated. And then you have Jupiter come in here speaking in harmony with the event, and Jupiter expands on whatever is supposed to be happening in our lives and in the collective. So I do think there will be notable events around the time, of course, of this lunar eclipse. Events that bring us closure in some way, because of course a full moon is about completion. Then you add an eclipse to it, and the eclipse eclipses something out. Whatever that something is, it is keeping you off of your path. And when that something is removed or completed, then you're basically on level up. So it's time for you to level up, to move up and on in your journey. And Jupiter is going to help us do that. Now, Jupiter has been retrograde here in the sign of Cancer, where it is what we call exalted. It does very well here and it's almost done with exploring and expanding us from the inside and ready to deliver the results on the outside. Now, it was November 11th, 11/11, this portal opened for your journey through Cancer. And Jupiter takes about 12 years to come back. So it's been 12 years since you have seen Jupiter in the sign of Cancer in your life, in your chart. So that's the 2013, 2014, 12-month time frame that you had that work happening with Jupiter. And then it will move into Leo this summer. So as this planet gets ready to slow down, literally with the help of the energy of this eclipse, it will sit here barely moving. And then March 11th, it officially stations and goes direct. And that's, like I said, when I feel like things will start slowly moving forward in this area of your life. But there is something now with this eclipse energy, because of the fact that Jupiter is speaking in a sextile to the moon and the south node. So helping you do the letting go and helping you realize the path forward, which you get from the sun with this north node in Pisces. And then we also have Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. Jupiter, the ruler of Virgo, is in the sign of Pisces, and it's retrograde and also speaking in harmony with Jupiter this week. So it is past karma that is playing a major role in whatever endings are happening in your life. Your karmic debt in some way is coming up. But as I've mentioned, Jupiter is a very benefic planet. It offers blessings as long as you're showing up, doing the work, and learning the lessons. Jupiter is a teacher. Remember, the ninth house that Jupiter rules through the Sagittarius aspect, right, is about growth and expansion and higher learning. It can be higher education. It can be a higher spiritual path. This is Jupiter's job, is to help you learn and grow in this particular area of your life and chart that has this Cancer energy. And it's been between 15 and 25 degrees of the sign of Cancer. And as a side note, that little lovely Mercury energy that is going in all the water signs this year to help us do some emotional release work that's getting started now. When it moves into Cancer, it is going to follow in Jupiter's footsteps, and we get more of the details about the work. So Jupiter's a big picture planet. Mercury is the small details, and those small details are going to be what gets polished up when Mercury comes there later. But they are speaking together this week, and that conversation is really important for us to remember, make a note of it, and be available for big emotional changes, trusting your intuition, going where you're guided, even if it seems a little strange and unusual. There's obviously bigger things happening in the universe than even we realize this week. And the whole story isn't unfolding, right? The eclipse is blacking things out for a moment, and it's in that darkness that we have to face it so that we can release it. And does it happen instantaneously? Not necessarily, but it's the unfolding this entire week that will help things become clearer day by day by day. So when I do the breakdown, I am going to talk to you about where Jupiter is lending its knowledge about what you need to release in order to, complete this chapter. Also, the completion comes from the fact that this is the final eclipse in the sign of Virgo. Now, it was January of 2025 that the North Node and South Node moved into Pisces and Virgo. And so here's a big end of that chapter of work that you have been doing ever since. Now remember, it works on the collective, right? These are collective lessons that we're learning and that we are going through. And then they affect us in our personal life. So there's a big end of that work showing up for us. And it is a full lunar eclipse because of the fact that the moon is so close to the south node. So total lunar eclipse, big orange moon in the sky. It's going to be brilliant and I think spectacular, and in part just because of the visualization, but also because of the fact that you have Jupiter in the moon's home sign of Cancer, lending its energy to the moon. So this moon in Virgo tends to be more grounded and more controlled, but Jupiter lending its energy here, it makes it so much more. It also makes the earth energy so much more as well. So now we've got water enhanced, the earth is enhanced. This can be a dramatic week upon the earth as well as within our own physical bodies. So be prepared to be more emotional than normal. Be prepared to cry at all the commercials that you see, to cry at all the shows that you're watching and just think, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. But that's because we have to keep doing the release work and letting all of those stuck emotions of pain and heartbreak and disappointment out so that they don't weigh us down anymore. Jupiter in retrograde in a water sign makes us feel very heavy. And this heaviness is about to lighten up and you will notice it. But remember, it's a huge planet, Jupiter, and it will definitely take time to turn the corner and start moving ahead. And as you imagine, you're in a bigger vehicle. When it puts the brakes on, you can feel it. You feel pushed forward and the momentum changing as you turn the corners even. So this means it's going to be a very emotional week, but at the same time, it can be a good emotional week for release work. Add to that, lovely little Mars, the Martian, is moving into the sign of Pisces, where, as usual, Mars doesn't necessarily enjoy being in a water sign because, again, it has to feel things. It has to pay attention to emotions, has to slowly move through the water. And that's not great when you're a fire planet, right? Water douses your energy, douses your powers. So when Mars comes through here for the next 6 weeks, while we also have Mercury here, also another planet who does not love having to deal with all the feelings, the next 6 weeks can be a bit uncomfortable. And the fact that these two things are occurring during this lunar eclipse, where we're supposed to end chapters and let things go, means that these planets are helping stir things up, right? Because Pisces are things that are hidden, things that can just be hidden from us in our subconscious mind, things that can be hidden underneath the water physically. Things are being stirred up. Details are being stirred up so that we can expose them, release them, let them go, and then be free, be lighter. And so just at the beginning here of Mars's journey, there's something over the next 6 weeks that we need to do the work on, right? Mars is the action we need to take. Mars has just finished most of its square to Uranus that's been making the stock market crazy over the last week. because the square was against Mars, and Mars creates chaos and movement and volatility. Combine that with Uranus in the markets, and we saw a lot of emphasis on need for change because of reporting and details that were coming out that has caused a little bit of panic and rebalancing and reshuffling. And so now, over the next 6 weeks, now that the square is lessening between Mars and Uranus and not causing as much volatility, we aren't distracted by the Big Bang events. We are able to dig deep and find more details, more information. And, for one, make sure that we're invested the way that we are comfortable investing, or making sure that the companies that we're investing in are bringing all the truth and information and details to the surface. So there's many different ways that this can show up. It really will depend on what house in your chart you have this Piscean energy. But expect, like I said, this is the beginning of a journey over the next 6 weeks that kicks off with this lunar eclipse. It's expanded upon by Jupiter as it continues to slow down, speaks in harmony with Mercury, speaks in harmony with the sun, and Mercury goes cazimi. So there is 100% some detail, some information that will come up in the days following this lunar eclipse. In fact, it'll be next weekend when Mercury goes cazimi here and meets with the sun, that the past will shock and surprise us. That there can be aha moments in your own personal life. There can be a huge, shocking expose. There can be, secrets that were hidden that will come to the surface. There will be moments of enlightenment. So I always say it just really depends on how you personally handle Mercury retrograde, and especially Mercury retrograde cazimi energy, for you to know how this will transpire for you. But a little clue is whatever you've been working on in the first 3 weeks that Mercury was moving forward through the sign of Pisces should give you an indication of what you have to go deeper into understanding as Mercury turned retrograde here on the 26th of February. And again, as planets change direction, they first spew out a lot of energy and a lot of details. We saw the former president and his wife speaking to Congress, right, behind closed doors, because Mercury was retrograde. It's not meant to be public yet. It won't, all the details of these investigations, I put that loosely out there, really won't be known until Mercury starts moving forward again, after Jupiter starts moving forward again, justice for families, after the spring equinox. That's when I think there'll be more information springing forward and coming out of the dark. So this is an important week to be cleaning your own messes out and clearing your emotional baggage, and even just clearing the clutter and your space around you. It will amaze you at how much your own energy shifts when you have clear pathways, good chi around you, because you've been cleaning or dusting and donating and giving things away to people that are just being wasted in your own personal space. So however you want to show up and do the work, whatever speaks to you, Do you need to write a letter to your emotions that keep derailing your life and get rid of it? Do you need to put a message in a bottle and send it out to sea and release it? Whatever speaks to you, it's time to release what you've been working so hard to manage and keep control over. Whatever details or information you've been trying to keep hidden from somebody else, they won't stay hidden. So it's better for you to bring the things up to the surface that are bothering you and clear the energy between you and other people as well. So it all is a very personal journey. I've been doing so many sessions with people because there is this feeling of something's changing, something's shifting, and I need to better understand what that is and be prepared to do it. And so that is what I've been spending all my time doing the last several weeks in overdrive, is helping people get a really clear picture of what that is. And we're not done yet, right? As I mentioned, this is just more of the kicking off point of how we're going to come to this ending. Because keep in mind, we have until the end of July where the nodes will move into Aquarius and Leo. So while this is the last eclipse, this is the last roadblock being removed now. It's not the end of the work, but it's the end of the roadblocks to the work that we need to do as a collective, and of course in our own individual lives. And especially, like I said, if you have personal planets around these 8 to 12, 8 to 15 degrees, you can say 5 to 15 degrees of Virgo, you have something going on that you are ending, letting go of, releasing at this time. And when you release it, when you let go of control, then you feel better, right? Because the sun is about our life force. And we can head towards the light, towards the North Node, and have more faith and get in the flow. And it feels so much better when you're in the flow versus fighting it, which means, no, I'm staying here and I'm locked down and I have control over everything. That's South Node and Virgo. But it doesn't serve you. You're not going to function like that anymore. Whatever bad habits, whatever's toxic to you. Remember, Virgo is about our health and wellness. This is our day-to-day life, the things that we need in our day-to-day life that help us thrive. And again, bad habits, bad things like addictions, all of those things, it's a perfect time to set your intention to let those go and get them released. So that is the biggest energy that's going on this week. We'll have another opportunity that will continue between the Jupiter and the Mercury connection, right? So this trine that they'll continue to make, because Mars will keep moving backwards while Jupiter just sits here. So this conversation between Jupiter and Mercury is a three-part story, right? They met first a few weeks ago as Mercury was going forward, giving us a preview. And then now here's their second meetup throughout this week. And then when, again, Mercury finishes its retrograde and then it starts moving forward, it will have the last bit of the story. You'll have complete understanding. You'll have all the details and the big picture, and they'll come together with an opportunity for you. In the meantime, it's almost like you're playing detective with all the little insights that don't make sense quite yet in the moment. But once these again are moving forward at around that spring equinox, around March 20th time frame, then like all the puzzle pieces start to fall in place and it all makes sense. So whatever's coming up, whatever the conversations are, whatever the people around you are questioning you about or wondering about with you, don't be offended. Don't be defensive. Just I always say, get curious. What does this all mean? How is this all going to fall into place? And remember, the Virgo thing is I don't have to control all the details and I don't have to have all the answers right now when it's with the South Node. So you're just learning to trust the process and watch how this is all going to suddenly fall into place. And again, Jupiter's going to bring you this tremendous blessing, but you got to show up. You got to be open to learning, and you've got to be open to changing something that's a pattern in your life that you've done for so long that it really has become a habit, but it's not a healthy habit. It's not serving you anymore. This is the fire horse here. You got to burn it all down to the ground and be ready to take off. So you can't have attachments to things that are going to hold you back and keep you stuck. And that's what this week will teach us. And as we get into the weekend, if we've had the big aha moment from the Mercury Cazimi, and then we have the moon moving into the sign of Scorpio, that's when we'll have a grand water trine. And that's when there's going to be the opportunity that you want to take advantage of fully. And you've got Mercury, which rules the mind, subconscious mind in Pisces. You've got the moon, your intuition, and your fears, like showing you what you're afraid of and why those fears are keeping you stuck. That's what we get when the moon moves through Scorpio. And then, of course, both will be speaking in harmony with Jupiter. So there's this weekend. Big opportunities. Now, some people will take big opportunities and use them for, let's say, nefarious types of things. But you in your own life are meant to take advantage of this positive opportunity to make some big emotional changes. Of course, the water is emotions. The darker emotions come up through Scorpio. The very sensitive feelings come up through Pisces, and that need to nurture other people comes up through that Cancer energy. So there's all kinds of feels going on through this whole week with an emotional full moon lunar eclipse. But instead of shying away from our feelings, if we're leaning into them, that's opening a portal and a pathway for us to actually use our emotions to create the endings and the closure that is healthy and good for us. And that means then a new blessed doorway will open at the time of that spring equinox. So really some beautiful potential, but I do, again, always caution people. I know Jupiter's a benefic, but not if you're ignoring Jupiter's lessons, and then Jupiter gives you a wake-up call. So don't let that be you. Be the one that's showing up, doing the work. And I know everybody says this, I'm always doing the work. We are always doing the work. That's why we're here. We're here to learn lessons, but we are here to have fun and joy in our lives, which I think we'll see returning this summer with the shift of the energy from Jupiter into Leo, and with that South Node into Leo, like letting go of the things that are blocking us from having fun. So more on that later. But that's the week. Very much an active sky, lots of movement going on. And as we get into next week, right, we're going to talk about what the stationing Jupiter energy is going to do. And we're going to be talking about Neptune and Saturn moving ahead and having conversations with Pluto. So there's some big power brokers working in the background partnering up and, starting to come back together to take the work that they've been doing on the collective up again to the next level. At the same time, the last piece of energy going on this week, we have Venus in the sign of Pisces, where she's been loving and enjoying her time here, meeting up with Uranus, of course, in her home sign of Taurus. So this can be, women with secrets that are bringing them to the surface at this time that can, bring some shock and awe and lots of surprises that then end some chapters for, certain people or certain situations in your life. Now, for some, there could be a reward for your use of your creative gifts, right? Pisces is our spiritual gifts, our artistic gifts, musical gifts, those things that are and create beauty. All of those fall under, Venus's energy while she's in the sign of Pisces. And then, of course, this Uranus energy in Taurus could bring some financial benefit or reward to you for doing that kind of work, spiritual work even. And so there can be some payouts, some surprise payouts maybe. So Uranus and Taurus doesn't always have to be harsh like it was last week in the stock market. It can still bring some surprise influx of finances for you as well. And if that's going to happen, it may be something that, again, happens around this full moon event that maybe affords you some kind of beauty treatment or a new vehicle or, something that you've been wanting and desiring, which is Venus, but unable to do yet. However, don't really buy a new car yet because Mercury is retrograde. So unless you absolutely have to, you need to wait until after the spring equinox to do anything like that. All right. So that is all of the planet energy and what is standing out for all of us this week. It's a lot of intensity. So you want to know what's happening in your chart, you say? Well, guess what? I have the breakdown now for you by sign. So as usual, I start with Aries, move through Pisces. And as I mentioned at the beginning here, I'm going to add in how Jupiter may be influencing your full moon gifts or blessings or endings. And always remember, endings kind of have a negative connotation, right? It's like, oh, the movie's over. I finished my book. In some ways you're happy. In other ways you're like sad that it's over. And so we might feel in some situations sad that something's over. But remember, that means I can go watch a different movie or I can go binge watch Bridgerton now because I've finished something else I was watching, like The Lincoln Lawyer. Whatever it is that you've ended, now a new chapter will begin. And it's okay to mourn and release whatever ended, but also then allow yourself to be excited about what that means for the future. And so, where will Jupiter be helping you? Well, let's get started, as usual, here with Aries. So Aries, this is your sixth house, right? So Virgo to Aries is the sixth house. The sixth house is something concluding that you have been dealing with in maybe your job, because this is our day-to-day activities that can include work. It could be something that you've been dealing with health-wise, because this also rules our health. It could be something where you're being of service to other people. Maybe you're a volunteer. Maybe you've been doing a major project and that project is finally coming to a close. So this, again, it's been hard work, whatever this journey has been for you. And as it's about to come to a close, there's a little bit of sadness or melancholy around that. And where does Jupiter help you? Jupiter's helping you in your fourth house of home and family. So this could be that a family member, maybe you've been doing a project that has been taking a lot of, time and energy away from the family, right? And thankfully you have somebody at home that has been supporting you and helping you, whether it's your work journey, your health journey, your volunteer project that you've been doing. And there's something they do, some emotional support that they provide for you that is what helps you push this across the finish line. So it feels great that you have the support of your mom or your family, someone that could feel like a mom figure maybe is helping you bring whatever this big project is in your day-to-day life across the finish line, and it's going to feel pretty amazing. Just remember, there may be some more little details that you weren't fully aware of yet, and so give it time for the full picture to come into focus. And just know you might have a few more tweaks to make, but the bulk of the work that you've just done, congratulations, it's over. And then we move ahead here to Taurus. So Taurus, this happens for you in your fifth house. So this is something coming to an ending that could have to do with a child. It could have to do with romance. These are things that speak to the heart. This could have something to do with a hobby. So let's assume it's a hobby. There's something that you have been working on, and now you're ready to share it with the world. And so this, whatever's been blocking you from feeling confident enough to put your work out there, for instance, well, at that eclipse moment, when it's all dark, you can face the fear and then let it go. Because, right, the darkness is going to go away. And then you're left with this big, beautiful full moon. And you can have your reset moment. And your heart's open. And you're ready to go for it. So is it a project? Is this something to do with children? Having a child? This is the completion of that. And eclipses can make it hard for things to come out, but as it does, it feels beautiful and amazing, and you feel truly inspired, and you want to keep your heart open going forward. So how does Jupiter help you in this way? It's in your third house. So the third house rules communication. So let's imagine that getting your work out there has been a challenge because you just don't know how to market it. You don't quite have the words to say, or you don't know what information people are going to want to read, and that will help them become interested in what you're wanting to do. Or you've been trying to figure out who can teach you about this hobby you have that you want to take further. Well, Jupiter can be that mentor that is caring and wants to see you succeed. And so they will show up. They will reach out to you. They will be somebody that you may have crossed paths with in the past that suddenly resurfaces and says, hey, what have you been doing with blah, blah, blah? And you're like, funny you should ask. I'm finally ready to do it. And they're like, great. I'm ready to invest in you and help you bring that to reality. So that sounds really exciting. All right, Taurus, keep me posted. And then we have Geminis. Gemini, this is your fourth house. So in your fourth house, you have this opportunity through Virgo to do something about your living situation. This could be goals to becoming a mother. This could be you getting your dream of buying a new home. Maybe you've been renovating your home, right? Maybe it's like literally taking you a year and a half to do this project. And now finally, any roadblocks in the way to you completing your dreams involving home ownership or maybe motherhood, right? Those blocks can be removed. So maybe for some of you, it's literally, some type of a surgery or some type of a supplement. There's something health related that is coming to a close that then makes everything at home the way you wanted it to be. So if your home life has been feeling a little erratic and unsettled, then this event is also going to illuminate for you what it is that you want, right? Do you want children, or have you been afraid of having children? Then there can be something of an aha moment that goes on this week that, erases your fears on that topic, for instance. So you have this helper in the way of Jupiter in your second house of the money you make. So maybe you've been afraid of the financial commitment to owning your own home or actually having a child because they about cost the same. And so Jupiter is helping you by expanding your financial opportunities that will allow you to do that. So whatever your dreams are about your fourth house of home and family, Jupiter is going to give you the financial means to make that dream happen for you. So it looks like, Gemini, there's some raise, there's a job change potentially, or there's new leadership within your organization that in some way give you this new opportunity. Maybe they help you move somewhere that you never thought you'd be able to do. And voila, because of their help, that's the dream home in the dream location that you've been imagining for yourself, but just never thought was possible. And now it is. And Cancers. Oh, Cancers, you have that Jupiter energy stirring things up for you, and you're almost done. You've almost finished all the work. It's hard. You're already this very emotional, sensitive person, and then you have Jupiter in here expanding on your emotions and your sensitivity. But that is your superpower this time, because you're the one that is making things happen with this energy. So of course you have this sitting here in your third house of community and communication. Maybe you have considered writing, maybe you've considered teaching, and there is whatever the roadblocks have been for you to do those things, those get removed. And you then really shine, and your knowledge is going to really carry you forward in a pretty incredible way. This could be a leadership role that you end up having in your community. And maybe if you're a teacher or educator of some kind, your role as an educator expands and you have much more responsibility. And this will be a huge growth year for you in your community as well. So you just have to trust your intuition, trust yourself, trust the journey that you've been on since November, the healing that you've been doing, the releasing, the emotional releasing that you've been doing. And what did you learn from the process? Because there's something you learned that other people can benefit from. And your words matter, and you getting your words out and sharing them with other people, that's what this full moon energy can help you do. So you have something to say, Cancer. You have something to share and teach other people. And this full moon's going to illuminate what that is and get you started on this journey. And like I said, it's really going to pick up momentum around that spring equinox. But these are the building blocks and the opening of this new portal for you forward. And I think you're going to be really happy when Jupiter's moving forward. I know my Cancer sun is. It's been a long journey. All right. And then we have Leos. So Leo, this is in your second house of the money that you make. So there is major changes happening involving your financial situation. You may be suddenly changing careers. You may be deciding that you are going into some kind of medical field, some kind of healing field if you're not already, but there's a change coming. Now, Virgo can be healing, can be a healer as far as the work you do, but it also can be something like a project manager, right? Because these are all the little nitty gritty details that we get from the help of Mercury. Anything to do with organization and details, those kinds of jobs are great as well. And that eclipse can eclipse somebody else out of the organization that you work in, and then you're ready to step into their shoes. And that's going to bring you, like I said, a pretty big opportunity. Now, that Jupiter energy for you has been sitting in your 12th house. So let's stick with the healing piece. And Jupiter in your 12th house, let's say you work within some kind of a healing institution, maybe it's a hospital, and there is a change that's going to happen within the organization that, again, is going to open up an opportunity for you. In some ways, your job and role that you currently have, the way you currently make money, is going to come to completion, and then you're going to level up to do more than you ever imagined would be possible for you. So that's pretty exciting, but sometimes it does mean a current role comes to an end so the new one can begin. But like I said, have faith, trust the process, and it's okay to feel a little scared about this big dramatic change, but this is fate that is getting you aligned to take on this new opportunity. So fear not. Wait for all the details to come out and to be, fully exposed on, maybe how you can make this big change. Because remember, all this Piscean energy is in that 8th house of, other people's money. Like a big tax return comes in and it gives you the freedom to do something that will feel like you got a pay raise, but, use that little nest egg to launch yourself in a new way. Then we have, of course, Virgos. So Virgos, for you, this is the end of a journey that started for you even before 2025, when the nodes were, first transitioning between signs. Virgos, you've been on this journey of releasing and letting go. And just when you think you're done, there's more to release and more things to let go of trying to control, which usually comes down to trying to control other people. Because when the people around you are unstable, it makes you feel unstable. But that's been the journey. That's what you're learning. That moon in Virgo is with the South Node, which says, I release control of everything and everyone around me, and I stay focused on just myself. You cannot save, heal, rescue everybody else at the expense of your own health. And so this need to save and rescue everybody, that's what has to go. And I know it's so challenging. And in fact, your partner, because of all that focus energy in your seventh house, they're pushing you, maybe seeing how much of yourself you keep giving away to other people, that, you have to let that go. It affects your relationship even. So focusing on yourself is the right way to use this. Getting healthy. This is a great week to be doing cleanses, releasing any toxicity in your body, in your mind, in your subconscious mind. Do that work this week. Work with the energy, show up with the energy, and then invite those changes in. And there is a friend, a mentor, a teacher that will help you do this kind of work. They will show up. If you ask for help, they will be there to guide you to complete this journey that you are on. So you have the support of your friend network, and there may be a friendship that gets even closer as a result of, what you do next, that you don't have to have control over, and you don't have to do it all on your own. You do have friends in high places that are going to help you complete this goal, this vision you have for yourself. This is the first house. This is how you present yourself to other people, how other people see you. And they're going to see you as somebody who has a great circle of friends around them and helps them. And that always says good things to, especially when you meet a new person and they hear about this great support network that you're a part of. And then that makes them want to join in. So this is a pretty important kicking off of maybe a new networking opportunity for you that, again, lets you fully realize your potential at this time. All right, let us move ahead to Libras. Libra, this lunar eclipse is happening in your 12th house. So the 12th house can, like I said, rule hospitals. I have seen this a few times where people during the eclipse out body parts with this energy. And while normally I say don't do things during an eclipse, but this is releasing something that's painful to you, then that might make perfect sense at this time. This is a great time again to be releasing things that are stuck and trapped in your subconscious mind. And if you feel stuck and trapped within a large organization that you work for, then this may be a time where you're being released and breaking free. And I know that might feel a little scary at first. However, that just opens a doorway and a pathway to a new opportunity that you'll feel more emotionally aligned with going forward. So you have Jupiter helping you from your 10th house of career. So that says to me, if we stick to the career story instead of, something's being cut out of you, that there is a benefactor, somebody that you've worked with in the past who will reach out to you with an even better opportunity. So if this chapter is closing where it is that you are currently working, do not fret, do not stress. Over the next several weeks, changes are coming in your day-to-day life, which of course involves your work. There can be surprising, shocking changes that occur, especially as I mentioned, if you happen to have personal planets at 12 degrees in Pisces, things are changing. And then this Jupiter energy here is about your career, your status, your reputation. It's helping you grow. So wherever you are now, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling trapped by it, even if it's a physical ailment, right? Doing a surgery or getting something released, that is setting you up for freedom, right? Pain-free if it's surgery. And same thing, pain-free if you're in a job where you feel stuck and trapped and terrified all of the time. is no way to live. And sometimes we have to take the leap of faith and let those situations go so that the new, better situation can come in. And let it fully unfold. Let all of the details come to light before you sign on the dotted line for that next opportunity. But things are absolutely changing within your career for the better. Just be patient a little bit longer, Libras. Next, we have Scorpios. Scorpio, this is happening in your 11th house of friends, networking groups, the internet. So something coming to completion, coming to fullness. There may be a dream that you have that is a dream that you've been having with a friend in particular. It could be a friend group. So it's a great time to do things with groups of people that, fill your heart, make you feel good. If you have something that you've been wanting to launch or get prepared to launch with this Scorpio energy, the last bit of roadblocks to launching that may come to light this week. So you know what else you need to do. But again, I wouldn't do any big hard launches until after the spring equinox. Instead, I would use this time. I always tell people, they're like, but I want to do this thing. And I said, okay, do it with this mindset of it's a pilot. This is a test. This isn't a hard launch. I'm not committed to it being exactly this way once I'm done with getting feedback on what I have built here. And then you're still working with the energy that's presented, but not taking a high amount of risk while you soft launch whatever it is that you're trying to do. But eclipses are fated. So if you're feeling called, like I still have to take advantage of this window, you can, but those are the rules. Especially if you, again, have personal planets being hit directly by this energy. But the good thing is, especially if you're trying to launch something that you're going to teach other people, right, how to transform their lives, very Scorpio topic, over the internet, then Jupiter is in your 9th house of growth, expansion, and higher education and spiritual teachings and learnings. So you have somebody in your corner that is going to mentor you and help you launch whatever this is. But because that Jupiter's retrograde is probably somebody you know from the past, maybe past life, if not somebody, because people say that all the time to me. They're like, I don't know anybody. Well, maybe you didn't know them now, but you knew them in a past life, and it'll feel like that when you meet them. And so they are still caught up in whatever they're doing, Jupiter retrograde, and it will take them a little time to be fully available to help you, but they'll introduce themselves. They'll reach out to you. They'll plant some kind of a seed or an idea that will fully unfold, like I said, around that spring equinox. And I expect to hear a lot of feedback from people, especially the water signs, because Jupiter's, fully supporting you about these big, huge sweeping changes that end up coming in, and things start taking off unexpectedly, because once the momentum shifts, everything starts moving again. So get prepared now. Do the things, get all the things off of the to-do list so that your calendar is clear, your desk is clean, you're ready to go. You're getting out of networking groups that have been zero help to you. Getting out of friendships where all they do is take your energy. They're energy vampires. Get out of all of those situations so you make space for this new person to come in and help and guide you forward in pretty incredible ways. And then we have Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, this is your 10th house of career and status and reputation, marriage, anything that stands out and you are known for is something that you're ready to release and let go of. Now, again, you could be ready to change careers, change jobs. Something about the work you do could be changing in a big way. Some chapter that is about how other people see you is, completing and coming to a close at this time. So it can be a little nerve-wracking, obviously, if we have to change our job in some way, but you have to trust the process again. And this conclusion isn't really the end. It's just the beginning of the next chapter for you. So this could, again, because it's eclipses, be somebody within your company who's leaving, and by them leaving, it's going to create an opportunity for you. But then just be patient, because the process to fill that new role will take some time. And maybe this is a role where you're going to step into being, a teacher of some sort. Maybe you're going to suddenly be traveling for work, which you love with all that Sagittarius energy, but something's shifting and changing. And then all of the information, all of the details will slowly unfold. And I think it will be something completely unexpected, but it's going to end up being also really, truly amazing. That Jupiter energy is in your 8th house. So that 8th house is about rebirth, transformation. So again, this person, this benefactor, could even somehow grant you funding that maybe you could use to go back to school yourself, or maybe it allows you to leave your job because you suddenly have this nest egg. But there is big changes coming for you. And with Jupiter blessing you in your 8th house, that is truly an opportunity for money to come to you from other places that you didn't generate on your own, that affords you to make a significant change in your career. Of course, that Virgo energy is healing energy. So something in the healing world could be going through a big change and transformation, and that's going to change the work that you do, Sagittarius. All right, Capricorns, this is happening for you in your 9th house of growth, expansion, foreign people, foreign places, higher education. And your earthy energy, of course, is in alignment with this Virgo full moon. So this doesn't feel unsettling to you. You enjoy the challenge that you get from a 9th house full moon. Now, if, for instance, you have been going back to school, then this would be the time where you're really going all the way through to the end, and your thesis is done or your doctorate is done. You're ready, and anything that's been blocking you from going back to school, that's what would be removed with this eclipse, so that you can complete this dream that you have for yourself. Maybe you want to live in another country, and this visa that you want has been blocked forever, and then suddenly the roadblock is removed. You're going to be able to do this big move that you want to do, but then just know there's still a lot of little steps and hurdles that you still have to manage through. And probably around March, you'll see the actual way forward, and able to make a big move of some kind. You have this energy of Jupiter happening in your 7th house of marriage and business partners. So maybe it is your marriage to somebody from another country that is what gives you this opportunity to move. Maybe it's just the business partner or your life partner that comes into some money that allows you to make a big move as well, or allows you to go back to school because suddenly they are saying, let me help you get your dream into your reality. So that that's a pretty big opportunity that's showing up for you, Cancers. And Capricorns are opposite, right? So it might be a little difficult for you to accept the help from this person, but you will be very glad you did. So just make sure whatever your next step is, it works for both of you. And then the sky's the limit. And next we have Aquarius. So Aquarius, for you, this is happening in your 8th house. So this is a house of rebirth, of transformation. It's also the house that rules intimacy. It's value that we gain from other people. So with this eclipse energy, right, we can remove any blocks that are keeping us from being valued, being appreciated. A lot of times this could bring in inheritances, tax refunds, bonuses, extra money that comes in and could suddenly change your life, transform everything that you expected from your day-to-day life, and suddenly so much more is possible. With this happening with Jupiter in your 6th house here of the work that you do, it is probable that there is some kind of bonus that you are getting from your job. Maybe you're getting a raise, maybe it's a promotion, maybe it's a whole new job altogether, and that job comes with a financial reward for you that, again, completely changes what you thought was possible. And now it's so much more, it's so much bigger. Now, when it comes to this aspect as far as intimacy in your relationships, this can help you remove blocks to that. And then that Jupiter energy helps you grow closer together because you now have much healthier attitude about love and self-care, which has everything to do with why we put up walls and why we don't allow people to get close to us. So something monumental is occurring over these next few weeks, Aquarius, that makes you feel like a whole new person and like so much more is possible than you ever even realized as a result of what is exposed, what is eclipsed, what emotional blockage is released, what fears are released, and more 8th house topics that then expand the opportunities that you're going to allow for yourself here in your day-to-day life. So big changes ahead, Aquarius. I'd love to hear what is going on for you. And then last but never least, of course, we have the sign of Pisces. And Pisces, this is happening in your 7th house. So, of course, Pisces opposes the sign of Virgo. So that means this is your 7th house of marriage. So this can be a sensitive area when we're talking about eclipses when it comes to marriage. It also could be business partners. And the eclipse can uncover any blocks, again, to you having the closeness that you'd like to have in your relationship. So some emotional block that you have between you and your partner can be, exposed to be dealt with during this lunar eclipse is one way that could show up. If you're in a business partner with somebody who isn't being above board, what they've been doing could be exposed at this time. And then once you know what you know, you're going to decide, is this partnership something that I'm going to eclipse out of my life? Or am I just removing the roadblock that is keeping this relationship from being as healthy as it could possibly be? With that Jupiter energy helping you from your 5th house, which of course is a water sign like you, this is opening your heart. So it would sound as if you want the love, the passion to return to your relationship. And so whatever's getting in the way of you guys having time for each other, then this eclipse energy can help remove that out of your lives, out of the way, so that you can get back to having a closer relationship. Now, this is bringing, things that are goals for the two of you as well in your marriage, in your partnership, to completion, to fullness. And remember, if you've been working on a project together, it is at least a chapter of it's done, but there's still more coming. There's more to the story. So be a little patient. Yes, you can celebrate a bit, but just know things are not going to start running forward as quickly as you may like them to. And you still got work to do, Pisces, because of course you have Mercury retrograde in your sign still. So there's things that when you finish understanding about yourself and releasing and letting go, that also helps you to become a better partner for your life partner, business partner. So the good news is it's getting close, Pisces. You just have to make it to July. That is everybody. So let's take a quick look at what I was talking about for next week. And that, I'm going to show this here, is here. So as we get into next week, it is going to be on the 11th that we will see that Jupiter start to station and go direct. Hallelujah. And as I mentioned, Jupiter, the whole time that it's slowing down, it is having conversations with Mercury, with the sun. So there are some really beneficial details that are coming up that will help you move this area of your life forward in some way. So movement, while it should be slow and leave a lot of room for change, is possible once Jupiter starts moving ahead. But because Mercury stays retrograde all the way till the 20th, this time, even though Mercury is speaking in harmony with Jupiter, still should be handled, slowly and with care. And then also keep in mind, Jupiter started its forward movement talking to the North Node. It will end its retrograde talking to the North Node, and it will move forward talking to the North Node. So whatever's going on during this Mercury retrograde, it's fate. So you cannot change it. You can respond in ways that make it more difficult, but we are meant to learn what we're meant to learn. We're meant to go where we're meant to go. And we're meant to let go of things. And things are being brought to the surface, like health issues, that we need to understand. And then Mercury will give us all the information and the details on what we need to do to, work with that or deal with that or heal from that. But things are going to slowly start moving ahead next week. Even little Uranus is moving off that 27 degrees of Taurus and starting to move on. But we have till April 25th, so the markets are still going to be a little crazy and wild for some time. So just be ready to ride it out, and don't spend more than you should, and don't panic. This is just this volatile time that we are going to need to get through. So that's what you can expect over the next few weeks here in the stock market. And we'll be back again to talk next week through what has transpired. I've recorded this at the time that Uranus and Mars are squaring off with one another. It's been so far a pretty quiet day, quieter than I would have expected. But I think that just means under the darkness is when we may see more shocking things come to the surface, and throughout the weekend. Of course, it's the eclipse. It could take till the eclipse for, some really sad information about certain situations to come to the surface. We just have to keep putting our hearts out there for those who are struggling at this time too, and send out all the love we can, right? That's Jupiter and Cancer, caring for each other and one another and getting justice for families. So we'll talk more next week. Keep me posted. I'm still looking forward to the sessions that I have going on as we explore this energy going on in your lives. And I love being part of your journeys. So if you want to know what yours is all about and these big changes that are coming up the rest of this year, book a session with me so I can break it all down for you. And you can still book the deep dive sessions and get my free astrology workbook is out there now. If you are a member of my website and go out there to my tools and worksheets page, you have access to all of the dates for the big transits in the year ahead. You just would have to fill it in yourself, but it's out there for you. All right. I appreciate you all. I'm looking forward to the exciting opportunities that are coming in and the fated journey that we are about to partake in over these next several weeks. Thanks, everybody, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye now.